All right, guys. Now, this section is going to be on Pentax. Of course, everyone is familiar with Pentax. This is one of the first cameras we were probably ever exposed to back in the day. So, Mr. Woo is kind enough to give us a tour of his Pentax collection and probably a little bit of its history. So, Mr. Woo, what do we got here?
Yeah, today we got Pentax. I will do two parts. One is the screw mount Pentax with a M42 screw mount thread, and another one is the K-mount Pentax with the one with the bayonet mount. Now, if you are into photography, you surely know about Pentax. Today, maybe the Pentax don't seem to be like a very big player as compared to the other brand, but they have a very interesting history. They make this camera. At first, it's known as the Asahi Optical Company. Their first SLR they came up was the Asahi Flex. The owner of this company, at that time it was quite popular for the Japanese camera maker to make a Me Too camera, like a copy or anything like that, just a knockoff. But this owner decided, no, we won't make a knockoff camera, we will make a proper SLR camera. So they make SLR camera. Actually, Pentax have the smallest SLR camera. I don't have it here. There is a Auto 110. Very tiny camera. You can put the camera and lens and put it in a pocket. Uses a Kodak cartridge, changeable lens with the add-on motor. And they also make the biggest SLR, the medium format Pentax 6x7. And then, of course, the 35mm Pentax in between. Now, there were some people who have made this camera famous. Pentax used that in their advertisement. One of them is the Beatles. You can see Ringo Starr with the Pentax camera, Paul McCartney with the Pentax camera. And Ringo, besides playing the drum, he liked to take pictures, but his only picture was mostly in the hotel room. Because of the fame of the Beatles, he can't go outside the street holding the camera. He'll be swarmed by all the all the fans. So his picture was mostly in the hotel room, but he was using the Pentax. Another commercial famous photographer, Sam Hiskin, was also using the Pentax, especially the Pentax 6.7. There's another fashion photographer from UK, Terence Donovan, was using the Pentax 6.7. So the Pentax Spotmatic, the famous one, was introduced in 1960. So Spotmatic is this one. Yeah. Spotmatic. The name Spotmatic originally as first to mean because they wanted to put a light meter inside, and it was a spot meter. During the development, they find that the spot meter might be a bit tricky for most people to handle. So they changed it to the average metering system. But the brand name was already put out in the marketing, in the catalog. No time to change it, so they kept the name Spotmatic, but they only had the average light meter. So you got a 42 straight. This is not the screw mount that they originated. They adopted it from the German company, the Contax screw mount. So you just screw it on. And they have the instant return mirror, pentaprism, self-timer with a light meter. That time was a stop-down light meter. You push this switch, then everything goes dark in the finder. You turn the aperture till the needle goes to the center, that you get your reading. This did not have a mirror lockup, so you don't have mirror lockup. But this camera, the Spotmatic and the Leica Flex SL, you can hack, go around it. I learned this from the internet. So what you do is, after you cock the shutter, you want to pre-release the mirror, You just use tension your index finger like shooting a pea, like a pea. You strike the shutter button. The mirror goes up, but the shutter didn't go up. Then you trip the shutter, then you got it. So this is a pre-release. So here you do this way. So you can do this on the Pentax Spotmatic, you can do this on the Leica Flex SL, SL2. So you have that. So now, you must be interesting to know that in 1966, they managed to sell 1 million SLRs. That is more than Canon and Nikon combined. Then 2 years later, in 1968, they sold 2 million. Then in 1981, they sold 12 million. So it was a very successful camera. Not too many bell and whistle compared to the Canon Nikon, but it does its work very nice, good camera. Then, of course, from Spotmatic, you got the Spotmatic, the simple one, with all the different Spotmatic. Then the electronic age came. They have this electro Spotmatic. This one, not this one, one more. Yes, this one. This is the electro Spotmatic, the first version. Later one was the ES2. How is it different? They have a automatic setting, so aperture priority. So you set the aperture, camera set the speed. But there is a mechanical speed from 160 to 1000, work without battery. So it's something like a hybrid shutter. Okay, so you got this. So they use a different battery here, they need more power. Then this time they introduce an extra control here that would push this tab here. This allows the camera to read the aperture wide open. So this is their version of full aperture metering instead of stop down. And they also have another one mechanical, the SPF, Spotmatic F, mechanical shutter, but with full aperture metering. So this is the screw mount, Pentax screw mount. They got some special model where they have a motor built in. So you got motorized winding. This is auto exposure. Then, got lenses. And at that time, many camera makers also adopted the screw mount. So not only you have the whole range of Pentax screw mount lens to use, but you also got the other brand screw mount lens like the Russian lens. This also screw mount, so you can use that. So there is no lack of the lenses to use. The Russian lens, screw mount. So again, but one disadvantage, it takes a while to take out the lens. You can't do a quick change. So if you are changing lenses, you might miss a shot. So over time, they transition from the screw mount to the bayonet mount, Pentax K. So they have a 3 series of Pentax K. They got the K2, which is auto exposure and manual. And they have a KX, and they have a KM. The KM is simple. This one is mechanical with a window for you to see the aperture, the Judas window. This time is a quick change bayonet. Then, of course, you have the stop-down meter. You also got the mirror lock. You can lock up the mirror. Yeah, you can lock up the mirror. Self-timer. Some special model with a built-in motor. Okay, cloth shutter. So up to now, they were still big size. And when Olympus came up with a small size one, they also came out with a smaller version, small size Pentax. I don't have the small size Pentax today, but then when Pentax want to celebrate their 60th anniversary, they came out with the Pentax LX in 1980. So this is Pentax flagship camera, competing with Nikon F3. And if you put this camera beside the Nikon F3, this is very small, just a little bit bigger than the Olympus. And they also adopted the Olympus off-the-film metering, whereas the OM2 can time up to 120 seconds. This fellow can time down to 125 seconds. They beat Olympus by 5 seconds. So they have a you see this pattern here? Somewhat similar to the OM2, multi-random pattern. So the light reflect here to the photo cell to take the reading. But if the exposure is long, if it's long exposure, it will read it off the film. So it has off the film metering.
Was this an expensive camera?
No, it costs less than Nikon. And also like Nikon, you can take out the finder. You can change the focusing screen. And they have a very elaborate system of changeable finder, action finder, waist level finder. So for top line, this was the most compact. So you got the LX. Then because of the early popularity of the screw mount, the owners have many of these lenses. And what Pentax did is they came out with the adapter. They came up with an adapter. You can mount this adapter onto the camera. Follow dot, and then you give it a twist. Then you can take the regular screw mount lens and put it here. So you can use the old screw mount lenses. So they don't go to waste. So the Pentax. Then of course they make other things. They make a 1 degree spot meter, very accurate light meter. Of course, like most camera optical company, they also have binoculars. They got medical equipment and so on.
Okay, great. Okay, that definitely will satisfy the appetite of Pentax users. And now you know. They were a very, very innovative company, and I remember the LX coming out was quite the Rolls Royce of the Pentax line back in the day. Okay, thank you, Mr. Woo.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.